Hello everyone. I'm Amanpreet Kaur, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Computer Science. Today my topic is Disk Operating System, which is a topic of subject Computer Fundamentals. So firstly I will discuss what is DOS. DOS stands for Disk Operating System. It is used for operating the disk developed by Microsoft Corporation in 1981 with the name as a DOS with version 1.0. It enables the user to organize data files, load and execute program files, control the input and output devices attached to the computer. DOS is a program comprising set of executable instructions loaded into the memory, which is RAM, of a user's personal computer before execution of any application. It creates an interface between systems, hardware and a software. DOS is a single user, single tasking operating system which provides character user interface, that is the text based interface. That means the user interact with the operating system by using set of character or text based command. Those provide a prompt screen for the user, that is command prompt or a DOS prompt like C colon, where the user can type in commands from the keyboard. As with any other operating system, its function is to oversee the operation of system by providing support for executing programs, controlling input-output devices, handling errors, providing user interface. DOS is a disk-based single-user, single-tasking operating system. These qualities make it one of the easiest disk operating system to understand. Microsoft DOS was introduced in 1981, which was the earlier version 1.0, and then later on various version was developed. DOS 1.25 was released in 1982, in 1983 2.0, 1984 3.0, and later on the various versions were developed with features added, extra features added. DOS controls the computer's hardware and provides an environment for program to run. This system program must always be present when working with your computer. Why we need DOS? Because it controls the flow of information between you and computer, that it acts as a translator. DOS allow you to retrieve information stored on your computer. DOS give you access to all its function, that is saving, copying, printing files, etc. History of DOS. In early days of computer, there were no disk drives. Instead, magnetic tape, punch card, etc. were used. After creation of hard disk and floppy disk, need of a software for managing rapid access to block storage of sequential and other data become inevitable. So DOS was developed. DOS version. Popular DOS version is MS-DOS 3. With DOS 3.0 released in 1984, Microsoft continued to include additional DOS features and to support more powerful hardware. DOS 3.0 supported hard drives larger than 10 MB as well as enhanced graphic format. Three versions of DOS are 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3, which provided additional innovations to the MS-DOS 4. By 1988, it was apparent that wave of the feature was the graphical interface, and DOS 4 provided users with DOS shell, a utility which like the window file manager. Actually, DOS shell was simply a scaled down version of Windows that allowed user to manage files, run programs, and do routine maintenance all from a single screen. The DOS shell even supported a mouse. Then came the MS-DOS 5. There were several important features introduced in the 1991 release of DOS 5.0. First of all, the ability to load drivers into the upper memory, which was the reserved memory, was a relief to those people who were constantly running out of a memory. These features allowed more complex DOS program. Several software utilities made their debut. The most commonly used utility introduced at this time was edit.com. Also added were qbasic.exe, DOS-key, unformat, undelete, etc. Then came the MS-DOS 6. It is released in 1993. It offered a number of new commands and configurable options. There is an enhancement in DOS 6.0 which allowed the system to pool extended and expanded memory. It has subsequently revised a number of times. As of this date, DOS 6.22 is the most current MS-DOS version available as a standalone operating. Now the main function of a DOS are, it translates the command issued by the user in the format that is understood by the computer to execute it. It also do the error checking. It manages disk files, allocates system resources according to the requirement. It provides features essential to control hardware devices such as keyboard, screen, disk devices, printer, modems, and program. It enables the users to view memory status of a computer by using MEM command. It displays the amount of used and free memory of the system. It has a scan disk utility that helps to detect, diagnose, and repair disk errors. It enables the user to create directories and subdirectories for managing the file efficiently. It provides easy commands to perform various file operations like file creation, file copy, file movement, and file deletion. How to name the file in a DOS? DOS permit the user to assign a name consisting of two parts to a file name, primary and a secondary name. Primary can consist of 8 characters, while secondary can consist of 3 characters. Both names are separated by a dot. For example, bioedit.exe, which is separated by dot, and .exe is the extension of the file. Architecture of DOS has three main files. These files are the core files or a system files or a bootable files. These are ms.sys, io.sys, command.com. A disk containing these three bootable files is called bootable disk or a startup disk of DOS. These are the system file necessary to boot the computers. Main portion of those are the io.sys, ms.sys and command.com files. io.sys and ms.sys are special hidden system files. io.sys file moves the system's basic input-output function into memory and then implements the MS-DOS default control programs referred to as device drivers for various hardware components. These include the following: boot disk drive, console keyboard, system time of day clock, parallel and serial communications port. IO.sys is an input-output system file of DOS which provide device driver for standard input-output devices like floppy, keyboard, printer, monitor. This means IO.sys file is responsible for managing input-output devices attached to the computer. This file controls the input-output operation of the computer. Next came the command.com. The command.com is the command interpreter which accepts command issued through the keyboard or other input devices and carry them out according to the command definition. When those run an application, command.com finds the programs, load it into memory, then gives it control of the system. When the program is shut down, it passes control back to the command interpreter. This file is the MS-DOS command processor. It contains all the internal commands of MS-DOS. All these commands are actually the programs created in a high-level language which gets activated whenever user types the particular command at the DOS prompt. So we can say that command.com is the command interpreter for the DOS. Loading of DOS. Once the computer system is turned on, the BIOS basic input-output system performs a series of activities or a functionality test on the program stored in the ROM called a power on self-test post that check to see whether the peripherals in the system are in a perfect order or not. The ROM bootstrap loader attempts to read the boot record and if successful passes the control on to it. The instructions or program in the boot record then load the rest of the program. Boot tries to load the DOS into the memory by reading the two hidden files io.sys and ms.sys. If these two are found, they are loaded along with the DOS command prompt command interpreter, that is command.com. This is the directory structure in a DOS. Directory is an approach to organize information. The most familiar example being telephone directory. It is just like a file folder which contains all the logically related files. It is organized in a hierarchical or an inverted tree-like structure. In computer system, information is stored in the form of files. When an organization uses computer to perform their day-to-day work, they create files and the number of files increases will with each single working day. Some mechanism is required to organize these files on the disk. MS-DOS offer a smart way to organize files, that is directory. Directory is just a name given to a logical area on the disk which acts like a cabinet having different drawers for different types of files. Directory name can also have up to 8 alphanumeric characters. Directories can be created by user or by an application. So Directory within another directory is called subdirectory. Means directory is further divided into three parts: current directory, subdirectory, root directory. Current directory is the directory in which user is currently working. Subdirectory, a directory exists within another directory, is called subdirectory. This is also called as child directory. Then is the root directory. Root directory is represented by the slash. It is a starting point from which all other directories branch out. In computer system, every drive has a root directory. Directory structure in a DOS. DOS files are organized in a hierarchical or a tree-like structure, which is similar to the file cabinet with having number of drawers, which in turn may contain folders that may contain information. File cabinet in DOS is the root directory. The drawer is the individual directory. The folders are subdirectory, and the information contained in these files may be termed as files. Here in a graphical representation of our directories or folders, here a single level directory system. There are two levels of directory system: single level and a multi-level. Single level directory system, all files reside on a root directory. Here in a square we represent the root, and in a circle we represent the owners or files. So here single level directory system, all files reside on a root directory. These circle represent the files. Next is the two-level directory system. Here root directory square represent the root directory. Then at the first level there is a root directory. Then at the root there is a subdirectories, and then subdirectories have a file system. So here the root have the three subdirectories A, B, C, which is the user directory. These user directory further have a files which is represented by the circle. Here, this is the example of a multi-level directory system. At the first level, there is a root directory. Root directory is represented by the slash. It is the starting point from which all other directories branch out. And root directory have some user directory, which is the subdirectories A, B, C, which further have a files or a subdirectory. A direct subdirectory has a file A, and B has a some subdirectories and a file B further have a some file system. So C subdirectory, that is user directory, has some subdirectories and a file system. It has a one subdirectory and a one file, which subdirectory further have a two further subdirectories which further have a file user files. So these is the multi-level directory system. Then DOS commands. Command generally means instruction to a computer to perform a specific task. DOS is a purely text-based operating system, so DOS user can interact with computer only through a text-based DOS command. There are two types of DOS commands: internal commands and external commands. Internal commands are those commands which are internal to DOS. This means internal commands are loaded automatically in the memory when DOS is loaded into the memory. These commands are stored in a command.com. Example of internal command are dir, del, time, ren, rename, volume, vol, ver version, time, date, type, copycon, prompt, md, cd, rd, etc. And external commands. Second is the external command. External command are the commands that are not automatically loaded when DOS is loaded into the memory. The external commands are used less frequently and are stored in some external file which are stored in some secondary storage devices like hard disk. Whenever an external command is to be executed, then the external file in which that particular command is stored is transferred from the disk to main memory. So examples of external command is format, disk copy, attrib, DOS key, edit, backup, more, restore, mode, label, find, move. These commands, external commands, are stored in a MS-DOS. Thank you everyone. That's all about DOS, and I hope you like the video and you understand the concept. Thank you. Thank you everyone.